Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusabe.
Okay, dear comrades, welcome to another edition of the Pan-African Pyramid Show here at Fairway. This is a Free Your Mind edition. And tonight, I'm privileged to be hosting, all the way from Nigeria, Obilor, a leadership consultant, a global speaker, and a thought leader, and a Pan-Africanist. She's actually here in Uganda, and I'm glad to be hosting you here today.
Thank you very much.
So I know Africa is one village, but then how do you find that particular village called Uganda?
I really have enjoyed my stay in Uganda. My only regret is I haven't gone to all the places that I had on my bucket list.
Yes.
So I'm coming back.
No, when you come back next time, you'll not be coming back for work, you'll be coming back for leisure.
Absolutely.
And I will take you through.
Absolutely.
So that one, it's a pledge. I will take you through because you love the amazing Uganda. There is no doubt Uganda is a part of Africa.
It is.
Now, there are some challenges African women are facing in leadership. That one I know that you know.
Yes.
What are those key challenges that you think African women are facing, and they become a hindrance to their leadership, and therefore we should be looking at how we can solve them?
Okay, before I go into the challenges, let me first of all commend the African woman. I think that the African woman is a strong woman. The African woman is really strong everywhere in the world. For anywhere you see African women, we do exceedingly well, irrespective of the pressures that we face anywhere in the world. That said, obviously, like everything in the world, we face challenges. And when we talk about Pan-Africanism, it's bringing us together, the whole of Africa. It's bringing our cultures together, making us one. And for lack of a better word, black people. Now, the African woman that I read about or that I've learned about was a strong woman. Our mothers in those days, our great-grandmothers, we hear about women from different parts of Africa that have done things that even us haven't dreamt or tried of doing.
Actually, the African woman of those days that you and I have come to learn, if it was a body system, that African woman was the heart in the house, in the home. And
even in the society, we had queens. We had women that were queens. We had women that, moved mountains. So, you now start...
Ashanti queen.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you start to wonder what has happened and what exactly went wrong. And when I think, a lot of times I realize that we kind of have lost our identity. And 1 minute we're African, next minute we're Western. And there comes a clash. We're raised with certain values, and then at a certain time you're embracing another value. And don't get me wrong, life evolves. We've changed. A lot of things have changed, and it's important that we change with the times and with things. However, it's important not to lose sight of who you are.
Yeah, sure.
And where you're from. We all come from somewhere. And even though in Uganda I've noticed different things, or the culture in Uganda might be a little different from Nigeria or Ghana or Kenya, at the bottom of it all, there's still certain African traits, which is why some people thought I was Ugandan.
Actually, if I found you down there walking, I wouldn't tell that you're not Ugandan. And so that brings the point that for so many centuries, our colonizers have tried to divide us, to put some boundaries. Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, Niger, but we actually physically remain one. Exactly. That's why nobody is able to recognize you that you're not Ugandan when you're here.
Absolutely.
Unless you tell them that I am Omu. Then I connect that, Omu Obilor, that must be from Nigeria. But that's just a village from a country called Africa.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, and that's why I like what you're doing. It was about time we started having these conversations and refining our identity, because as human beings, generally, man or woman, you would always lean to something. And if the information is not there, and if the resources, if the conversations are not being held, naturally we would move to where the conversations are not being held. So if you're not telling me, or if we're not discussing how an African woman should be and what is in it for African women, I will go to wherever it is that I find resources and information. Information is key. So what are we feeding ourselves and the younger generation? What are we feeding them? What are we teaching them? What are we teaching them that an African woman is? What are we telling them that an African woman
what are
can
those
do?
particular activities that the other strong woman that the African woman used to do that are no longer possible today, that we could say these are some of the challenges, and therefore moving forward, what do we do? How would you describe that this is a clear picture of the African woman that we have lost today?
Fundamentally, there was communal living.
Communal living.
We've lost that, and I'm guilty. I don't know my neighbor. And they say it takes a village to raise a child. And I want to believe that's an African saying.
Yes.
Because it's only in Africa that I can see your child and correct the child.
An African child never belonged to that parent, mother or father. It belonged to a community.
Absolutely.
And if that child was wrong, that child would be disciplined by the community, not necessarily by the parent.
Exactly. So we've fast lost that, and then we need to come together and have one voice. Our voices are scattered. So we need to have one voice. Okay. So let's talk about the protection of cultural intelligence. What do you mean by cultural intelligence? So there's that saying, when you go to Rome, behave like the Romans.
For instance, if I come to Nigeria, I will get accustomed to Jeff fries. Jeff fries. Because I am in Nigeria. And when you come here, you have to get accustomed to local millet.
And the plantain, and the unripe plantain.
Yes.
Or is it banana?
Banana.
The unripe banana. Yes, so everywhere has their culture, like I had said. And typically the whole of Africa, still we always have something in common.
Yes.
There's a connection, because there's a connection. Yes. Now, we seem to be losing our culture. And it's almost okay for me to say, oh, why are you behaving like where's that hotel I stayed in, Buyongo? Monyonyo.
Yeah.
Why are you behaving like a Monyonyo man? And we say it like it's derogatory. Why shouldn't I behave like a Monyonyo man if I'm from Monyonyo? Why do I want to behave like someone from the West? I'm from Monyonyo.
If an African, why shouldn't I behave like an African?
Exactly.
Why do you want me to behave like a European?
Exactly. Even in the way, so we all speak English. And even in the way that we speak, why should I look down on you because you sound Ugandan? You're Ugandan. Why do I want you to sound like another man?
Western man.
So we need to start to accept who we are. And we cannot change what we don't know. We cannot. You need to know yourself to grow yourself. So if you don't even know yourself as a Ugandan man, and who you are, or as a Ugandan woman, or as an African woman, then how do you want to change yourself? And how do you want to grow?
Because they have brought in this, this whole narrative of a global village. The world being a global village. But a global village, the narrative is being sold by the Western powers, who, by nature and by the design and how they behave, they are more superior in their understanding than Africans. So the moment they say, we're in the global village, in other words, we are the same. You are simply saying, it's like getting, after all, they're all animals. So you get lions, you put them in the same cage with goats, and you say, live together. After all, you're all animals, you are equal. they do this, that they sell this narrative, knowing very well that the systems they have implanted in Africa, they will never make us equal to them in terms of anything. And so when they say you are equal, you are giving them, you are opening the door for yourself, so that they come and plunder your country, saying, after all, we are one, we are at home. If I come to Congo and plunder, I am at home, I'm free. Those are some of the things that
and you don't have the same opportunities
and we
when
don't
you
have
get
the same
there.
opportunity. And even if we had them, they have the capacity to make ours dim and make theirs light. They have the capacity to suppress our opportunities. So they do it. They bring this narrative of global village and sell it to us, because they know in terms of resources, we still have natural resources, intact resources, and they don't have. So by saying this is our home, all of us, it means they're actually giving themselves a leeway to come and partake of what is involved in that home. And so our cultural intelligence must tell us that no, yes, we are all human beings, but there is what belongs to us.
Absolutely.
There is what belongs to us.
Absolutely.
If you want it, you must engage us and talk to us. And so we have a win-win situation.
Yes.
I think.
And let me just add, while I am one of those who also says the world has become a global village, but yes, even in the village, there's mutual respect.
Mutual respect.
So, even in the global village with the different tribes
rules.
And their rules, their cultures, and you have to respect each and everyone's culture, irrespective.
There is diversity in so many cultures and traditions.
And for instance, diversity, equity, and inclusion has become a very big subject globally. And in diversity, equity, and inclusion, you have to recognize each and every culture and each and every tribe and put that into consideration when you're forming an opinion. And that's the only way you can actually be an effective leader.
Yes. And actually, when you say global village, must the global village, Madam Omo, come at my expense?
Not
as
at
an African?
all. Not at all.
Must the global village come to sweep me away?
Not at all.
Erode my culture, erode my traditions, erode my identity. I thought the global village must come to actually elevate me, who I am, respect me, benefit from it like any other person.
Yes.
But that which comes to take away who I am in the name of global village, I don't think that would be the global village that we Africa.
That is not allowed.
So the cultural intelligence you're talking about is that which must be able to detect
and respect
this kind of
and respect and communicate appropriately.
But also, while growing up, our mothers used to be the ones in charge of our homesteads. Food, if you felt hungry, it is the mother you'd run to, because the role of the mother would ensure that the home has food, there is plenty of food, the home has healthy children are not sick, they are sick, it was the role of the mother to make sure that they treat them, and to generally look after the entire homestead. The role of the man was, go hunting and so on. But the homestead, it is the mother who knew what to cook, where to get it, and so on.
And the man brings the meat.
And the man brings the meat and so on. So I also know that in your emancipation, instead of asking for some powers to be able to do these very work activities more efficiently, you have been demanding for equality with man. Is that African? Because I know that you deserve respect. I know that you deserve space to exercise your right and energies. But when you start asking for equal rights with man,
you've actually answered your question. So, like you said, a woman has to be respected as a woman.
Yes.
A woman has to be given her due right and her due respect. And a woman has to be given her place in the society. So just like I had to...
But the woman doesn't have to claim for a space of the man.
Just no way. And I'm not expecting a man to claim the space of a woman.
Now there are some women
But then you're not going to say to me, just like that's why I started with talking about great women that did a lot of things in those days. We had the people like Fumilayo and Kuti, who there are very few women that have done what she's done. Now, you're not going to say to a woman that because she's a woman, she can't speak, or because she's a woman, she has no opinion. Because women are strong. There's a place for a woman's suggestion. There's a place for a woman's opinion. She has an opinion. And a lot of times we come with our own unique opinion.
Yes.
And like I had said earlier, the African woman is strong. Like you rightfully pointed out, she's in charge of the home. She takes care of the home. She takes care of her husband. She takes care of... Only a strong person can do that.
Yes. Have you
ever thought of leaving your wife leaving you with the children when they're little and go off for a month and say you should take care of them?
The man would
go
even
crazy.
run away from them. You would even abandon them. So my argument is, Madam Omo, that yes, a woman should claim her space, but there are women activists in your scope of work that are actually demanding equal rights with men. Now, that becomes a bit complicated, because what you're saying is that I should be like a man. No, naturally you're not a man. You are a woman.
Exactly.
And you have your space to occupy. A man should not occupy that space. Neither should you occupy the man's space.
Absolutely.
God was not stupid to create a man and then create a woman.
Absolutely.
Each one has a role.
Absolutely. You see, for me, the key is respect.
Yes.
The key is respect. I respect you and you respect me.
Yes.
Right? And everyone has a role. I play my role, you play my role. You would not dim my lights so that you can shine.
Yes. I would actually...
Exactly. Give me some more flame.
Yes. So that actually is the argument now, that yes, as we fight for women emancipation across Africa, we must empower them.
Absolutely.
But women must remember that they are women. I hope you get my message.
I get your message,
yes.
And that is not to say that, and women will get that they're women, and women know that they're women, but not that you want to make women subdued. Not that you also want to make them subdued. Otherwise,
neither do you want to subdue men.
No way. Nobody should be subdued. And that is why you're having this interview with me, because you could have said, oh, she's a woman, she has no voice.
Yeah, proper. I want us to discuss about that education system that must be designed for Africa.
Absolutely.
By Africans to solve the African problem.
Absolutely.
Right away.
Without speaking about education, because we are at the university, isn't it? We are not in the marketplace, we are at the university, isn't it? I am glad that I'm standing here with my friend Lawrence Muganga, where we actually both agree. And that's why we awarded him. We awarded him specifically for agreeing with the PanAfricanism that education, the African education, should be that education that helps to solve the African problems. Education is not the paperwork that you receive from here, you guys. Education must be transferred from your paper to your brain. If it cannot be transferred and then it transforms you, that's not education. Rubbish. So the education, our systems here, these colonial systems that they left with us many years ago, and they are still supervising them. That education, rubbish. Go with the education system that Professor Lawrence Muganga is trying to implement here. Adopt it. Some of these people weigh and gauge African understanding based on the paperwork that they want us to do classroom work. You are saying that you're going to weigh the power, the strength of a frog by its ability to climb the tree. No. You are saying that if a buffalo does not climb the tree as fast as a monkey, that buffalo is weak. You bring it down. Come down and wrestle it down. So, we don't want to be measured around your colonial mentality education that you brought to us, and then you start saying, this one is hopeless, this one is okay. No. Let's be measured by our abilities depending on who we are. We are Africans. I know that each one of us has got an ability, has got a special gift. That is a gift that Professor Muganga through his education is trying to identify. After identifying that gift, then naturally, and you go and be perfect in that which God gave you. Are we together? Are we? They are not around now. I'm speaking to myself. Are we together? Are we together? I don't think. Are we together, guys? Yes. Africans must be powerful. Africans must be loud. So this is early morning. You must have some motivation. So the point is, let's adopt the education that is based on our abilities, not on their. I don't hear them. Not on their. I don't think Bishop Makomba, I take you back. You're not going to speak here. Yeah? Makomba cannot speak to this audience. I want to hear you. I want to hear you. Let us have the education that answers our problems as Africa, not the education that they designed for us. Are we together? Yes. Okay. They are starting to come. Okay, now, after we agree, every African should take up the mantle. You must free your mind. You must free your mind. You must know that the system they left for you in the education, the system they left for you in the politics of the Africa. Politics, I'm using the word politics. There is no politics in Africa. There is no politics. Politics must be for the people, by the people. This one is for somebody else. It's not ours. So that's a game. And so it's politics. Are we together? So we must not adopt their games because you cannot be smarter than them in their own game. We must disrupt it. Disrupt it. If it's food they've been eating, come and step on it, step in the plate, and they will ask why. When they ask why, you say, I am not understanding, guys. I want to tell you on the table what I'm not understanding. Then we shall discuss. Otherwise, if you allow them, that you train them in their own game, you're not going to be better. You can never. So ladies and gentlemen, what brings us here today is to ask you to start the mantle and pick up the fight. Let's fight for Africa. Africa is not third world. It is them who want to project you and put you in that cocoon that you are third world so that you become inferior. You become inferior. You look at him as your savior. He's coming from the first world, so I am the third world. So it means he's better than me. So it means he's going to provide for me. Actually, we are the ones providing for them. We can live without Europe. We can live without America. They can't live without us. They cannot. They can't.
My name is Andrew Irumba Katushabe, your speaker, and this is the Pan-African Pyramid Show. We are seated here at Fairway Hotel, and this is exclusively for Madam Obilor. Now, this is Free Your Mind lecture episode, and Obilor is from Nigeria. She's a leadership consultant, she's a global speaker, and a thought leader, and finally a Pan-Africanist. I am mainly interested in her Pan-Africanism, and that's what we are actually discussing, Pan-Africanism. Madam Omu, the education system in Africa, talk about Nigeria where you're coming from, talk about Uganda where you are, talk about Kenya where you are about to go, talk about Ghana. The template of the education system that you and I have grown up going through, and your children and your children's children that will go through if we don't change it, is that education system that actually tells the child that the white man is the superior on planet Earth. You must first understand who the white man is, his interests, before you understand yourself. And that's why the design of that such education has created so many educated people going through classes, but classes have not gone through them. You find an engineer in Uganda here who cannot actually manufacture even a toothpick. But he's an engineer.
I'm an engineer, by the way.
You're an engineer? So have you manufactured a toothpick?
I did. That wasn't my branch of engineering.
So let's talk about that education.
So you see, it's such a sad thing when it comes to
By the way, before you come, that education taught me that the person who discovered the source of...
Don't even go there, because that I'm going to hit that nail. And sometimes I find it funny, and sometimes I just I'm wondering, do you think I'm stupid, and don't we think? So how do you're teaching, and this I learned that in school, and I grew up to believe it until I started asking questions. So for instance, here we went to the source of the Nile, and they say it was discovered by John Speke.
The person who discovered it was John Speke, a white man.
Initially, funny enough, I thought he was a Ugandan.
No!
I didn't realize he was a white man. And in Nigeria, you have the River Niger, the Niger. My village actually happens to be by the River Niger. And you tell me it was discovered by Mungo Park. So are you saying to me that no Nigerians, were no human beings around, and this man came from wherever and landed there and discovered it? I mean, how did he get there? Are you saying there were no indigenes? Are you saying, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. And you tell me it was founded by, he discovered it, and they've sold us this story for decades, and we've bought it and we believe it. And, talking about the education system.
That man, John Speke,
yes,
when he landed there in Jinja, it is the Musoga man who lives there, who were even tethering their goods along that, the river Nile, the banks, that used their local canoe to drive him to the source of the Nile.
And there's no mention of him.
No.
When I was in Victoria Falls, there was somewhere else they showed me, I can't remember the name of the man. They also told me it was the man that discovered it. And I'm wondering.
So, let's discuss about that education.
So you see, personally, that education, it actually programs us to lose our culture and our values and our history. And our history. Because now I believe, or I grew up believing, that Mungo Park, we actually recited it, that he discovered the River Niger. It's even worse with the younger ones, because there's actually no history being done in schools. I don't know about Uganda, and I would like to find out. There's no history being done in schools.
The history that is done in Uganda is the history of the Western culture.
So, at the end of the day, you raise a child, for instance, you raise a child from your village, and you raise him in Muyonyo because that's where you live. And then maybe he goes to the village once or twice a year, or maybe he doesn't even go in a year. He's slowly, totally lost his roots. And then maybe from Muyonyo, he goes to school in some Western world. Then he's even lost it further. All he knows is, I'm Ugandan. And then he knows nothing about Ugandan history. But if you ask him about a Western world, he would reel it out to you. And we're constantly feeding them. Take something as simple as football. I don't know. I don't understand football, so I don't watch it. But I listen to people. Africans generally love football. Nigerians love football a lot. But when you hear them talking about football, they're talking about different teams. They even wear their
games,
vests.
UEFA, La Liga.
But we have our local football teams, and then we wonder why they don't do well. How can they do well when they're not encouraged, when they're not even recognized?
They're not sponsored.
They're not, So, but that's also how we slowly feed ourselves this information, and we're programmed to believe those things.
Actually, when it's football time here in Africa, you may think Premier League is being hosted in Africa. Everybody's talking about it. They even mention by names from their off-cuff names of the entire English football club teams. All of them, they know them. Ask them their local teams, they don't know. But you may blame them, but this has been systematically built through the education system.
Absolutely. And you might also blame the government for not sponsoring and encouraging those footballers. But the government is also us. It's also we individuals, we're the government. So these are things we fed ourselves over time. So if as I am now, I'm supporting some team abroad and a Western team. Obviously, if I become a minister of sports, I'm not going to change overnight. I'm going to carry it along. So that's it. We need to understand and rewrite our values and begin to live by those values.
You have said it. We need to rewrite our history.
Yes.
Re-emphasize our values. Rediscover the power within our diverse cultures.
Absolutely.
Traditions and norms. And that's basically why the white man has found it very easy to penetrate Africa. To penetrate Africa, erode our traditions and cultures. That's why recently, when Uganda passed a law here, I don't know whether they are aware, we passed a law here recently that criminalizes homosexuality. And you know what the West
Yes, I heard.
You know what the West said? If you don't want LGBTQ people in your world, in your country, we are withdrawing aid for AIDS patients. Yeah. Even World Bank said we are withdrawing, we are not going to give you money. World Bank. And so for them, their argument is, you must respect human rights. Okay, if you are saying we should respect human rights, ours also are rights that should be respected. We have said we don't want this act. First of all, it's not human. It's inhuman. It's not natural. It's unnatural. It does not build Africa. It destroys Africa. It does not build humanity. It destroys humanity. But you want to force it on us. So by forcing it on us, for you, you think you are defending rights. What about ours? What about our rights?
Absolutely.
Whose rights are being rejected and abused by you enforcing your own selfish interest on us? Don't we have rights? So I think you get the argument.
Yes.
On your side, when you enforce something on me that is not me, you are protecting a right of somebody. What about me? Whose right you are now destroying?
Certainly.
So, and why is the entire Africa not working in unison against this?
Because we've been programmed to be divided.
And we are where?
We have been programmed to be divided.
Yeah, but we are where now? Uganda is 62 years independent now. 62 years old, independent. We are still following their template, education template. Nigeria, you are still following the education template of the Western world.
And that's why these conversations
with all those
are
PhDs in your country.
Exactly.
With all that good English you are speaking. With all that exposure you have. You are still following the colonial education system. And how do you want us to use the colonial education system to solve our own problems?
Exactly. Because our problems are unique to us.
Yes. Those are your problems, not Western world problems. So you must design an education system
to solve our
that is
own
going to
problems.
solve your problems. Right now, the education system that is being implemented in Africa is solving European problems.
Absolutely.
So, going forward, what must we begin with?
Now we have to start having, like I had said, we have to start having these conversations, because I know that there are different categories of people. There are people who don't know. There are people who know, but they also don't know where to have those conversations. And so from having these conversations, and you bring thought leaders together, we can begin to rewrite it one step at a time. It's not a day's job, but it starts with little things like this.
And that's why primarily we started this Pan-African pyramid to globally mobilize. And we have one direction. We want one Africa.
Absolutely.
We want one country called Africa. You can call it United States of Africa, you can call it United Kingdom of Africa, but we want one country called Africa. All these other presidents now, your president is Sinubu?
Yes.
Yeah, that one can become a governor of Nigeria. A state called Nigeria. We can have states. America is powerful because it was able to realize that a United States of America is going to be powerful than any other person. That's why they were quick to an amalgamation of many countries coming together. And by the way, America was not there initially. That was Red Indians' land. They came and got extinct. They killed them all and occupied the land. They made it United States of America. And now they are the most powerful. Why did the white man come in Africa, divided Africa in the Berlin Conference, and we Africans have up to today accepted that was a good idea. Divide us. You are dividing Africa, you are uniting United States of America. United Kingdom, United States of America, UAE, United Arab Emirates. You are united. For Africa, you're dividing. And we have accepted. We are still living Nigeria, Niger, Ghana, Libya, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Burundi. Look at Burundi and Rwanda. What's the difference? Burundi, Uganda, Rwanda. What is the difference? Look at Sudan and South Sudan. Now we hear this is Somali. They also want to divide themselves. They have started the argument. So, as we conclude, how do you think we can re-energize the movement that Africa should be one? Gaddafi was killed while attempting to do this. Gaddafi wanted one currency for Africa. You can call it anything you want. Actually, the other day was with the Bishop Maponga. He even suggested a name. Call it Mansa Musa money. Mansa Musa money. The currency should be called Mansa Musa coin. But one currency for Africa. When you are calling me, you are using a country code of Nigeria. When I'm talking to you, I'm using a country code of Uganda. There are so many other charges that are made between me and you communicating. But me and you, we are brothers and sisters. Why should someone extract money between our conversation?
Just like I need to get a
exorbitantly.
Visa. Just like I need to get a visa to come to Uganda.
Why? This is your home. Why should you need a visa? Why should you need to connect first to Europe for you to visit any other part of Africa? Because from Nigeria to some other parts of Africa, you must first connect to Europe.
Yeah,
why?
Some parts,
it is designed in a way that they must first extort money from you. Extorting, I'm using the word very intentionally. First reach there, pay money, eat their food, pay for the flight and so on. Then you come to Africa. By the time you reach Africa, you don't have money. You have left it the other side. Sleep in their hotel, eat their food, and so on. But up to now, Africa has never realized that actually we need direct flights between country to country.
Yes.
If I want to go to Europe, let me board a direct flight to Europe.
Yes.
But if I want to go to Africa, let me also have a direct flight to Africa.
There has to be free trade, free
movement of people and
yes,
goods.
And goods.
Is that so much to start mobilizing Omo?
That's why we're having this program, and that's why we're having this conversation, because conversations like this open up avenues for more ideas.
Yes.
And so even places where it hasn't been thought about, they will begin to talk about, and we'll begin to have those discussions and begin to work on things that we can implement.
So as you leave back to Nigeria, let's start this. When you go back home, I give you a package to go back and preach. Let's preach the message that there is no difference between a Nigerian and a Ugandan.
No.
There is no difference.
No.
There shouldn't be anything that should hamper me to communicate to you freely. But these codes, Nigerian, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, 54 country codes.
Yes.
And everybody you call, you must have some extra charges. But those charges are not your African charges. Those charges are being taken to Europe and America. And we are not realizing that up to now. Why are we not having direct flights between African countries? Why even are we having 54 countries in Africa? That's one village.
And counting.
Now the global village, the world, these Americans are telling us that we belong to one village. You see the whole world, they have made the whole world one global village. They don't want Africa to be one global village. And we're still buying such narrative. In your concluding remarks.
Well, my concluding remarks would be that, I would want for us to have these conversations more and begin to educate people, including me, educate people on the potential. Africa has huge potential. There's absolutely nothing lacking in Africa. We have the manpower, we have the brains, we have the food, we have whatever. We have good weather, we have oil, we have gold, we have mineral resources, name it. So if we do not do it, no one else will do it for us.
Actually, they will do it the wrong way to benefit themselves, if they must do it, because they're already doing it. Anyway, comrades, I've been hosting here in Uganda Obilor from Nigeria, who is a leadership consultant, a global speaker and thought leader, but most of all, a Pan-African woman. And I think Africa, we don't need donations. We don't need to live on donations. We don't need to live on anybody's mercy. We are on planet Earth justifiably. We are not here on anybody's mercy. And so we don't need to live on donations. I think for me that's the point.
Yes.
If anybody wants to trade with Africa, it must be a mutual agreement, mutual understanding. Not like treating us like you treat your boys at home. If you don't do this, I will not do this. Like what Americans are doing. If you don't accept LGBTQ, we are withdrawing money. You take the money. Take your money. We are not. Anyway, Africa, our main means of trade used to be barter trade.
Yes.
Hey, barter, not a dollar.
Yes.
You give a goat, I give you a sheep. You bring me maize, I give you beans. And we were not wanting. So, the message is, as we go back to start on the bigger journey of a United States of Africa, we need to re-energize ourselves, galvanize energies, and speak in unison. I think the Pan-African movements across the world and those in the diaspora, what we need to be doing right now is a little talk and more action on ground.
Absolutely.
I thank you so much. My name is
Thank
Andrew.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusabe.